You want to know what the one thing is that hurt Katy Perry the most in her divorce from Russell Brand? I'm going to be breaking that down for you in this video, and actually how that pertains to you as well in this video, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung. I'm an attorney. I'm a narcissist negotiation expert and also an author. And in these videos and on this channel, I give you tips and tricks for negotiating, not just in the boardroom or for a car or for a pay raise, but also how to negotiate your best life. So if that sounds good to you and you want more of that, feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Okay, so let's talk about the one thing that hurt Katy Perry the most in her divorce, and also how to heal those deep wounds and what really was the worst thing for her, and how it might pertain to you in your life. First of all, let's talk about Katy Perry and what happened with her and Russell Brand. Some of you may recall that she was married to Russell Brand, who, by the way, I think is brilliant. And if you haven't checked him out or read any of his books, he really is brilliant and smart, funny guy. And she was married to him for kind of a short time. But the way that he apparently divorced or told her he wanted to divorce her was not so great. She was on tour and was backstage, like during one of her shows. And while all of that was happening, she gets a text message from him which says, "I want to divorce you." I think they had been married for 14 months or something. And in the middle of all of that, he says, "I want to divorce you." And she literally was like devastated, completely devastated, and like flattened. And I think that, yeah, that obviously hurt her. And she was, she says that she was, extremely, like eating, flaming hot Cheetos and drinking, and the pain was super extreme. And, she talks about that. She felt like she was kicked in the head and she was at a huge low, and she was thinking about not leaving her bedroom or something forever. I think that honestly, the thing that hurt her the most was probably, yeah, I think there was the embarrassment of it, of course. And obviously everybody knew, not just the people on tour or whatever, but like the world kind of knew. I mean, she was really, really big at that point. I mean, she had a lot of hits and she was pretty famous. She was very, very much in love with him, and she was extremely devastated. But I think part of the thing that hurt her the most, frankly, was the lack of closure. And I that's one of the things that I want to talk about today, because with narcissists, you just do not get closure. And that's one of the things that I think is the hardest thing to deal with, is that you just do not get that closure with them. And I have talked about that on some of my other videos as well. But on this particular video, what I want to talk about mostly, though, is how you can really become kind of self-destructive sometimes when it comes to narcissists and that lack of closure, because it can drive you absolutely crazy sometimes. I mean, I know for me, I haven't had to deal with a narcissist in a romantic situation, but I did have to deal with it in a business situation and also in a family situation. And you want to have these conversations with them. You want to tell them, you want to go back and say to them, like, how could you have said this, or how could you have thought this, or how could you do this, or like you want to be able to get them to think this or see something in a certain way, or it's a very, very destructive type of a path. And so you do end up having to make a choice between, whether it's going to end up being a nurture yourself situation or a destroy yourself situation, because you don't end up getting to have that closure. And that is something that Katy Perry actually ended up saying. Apparently, in one of the interviews, she said, there are two ways you can go. You can either nurture yourself or you can go destructive. And I have gone the destructive path before, she said, and that didn't work for me. She continued, you can dig deep beyond those scars and find that soft tissue again, and you massage and nurture it and bring it to life little by little through serving yourself well. And I did it through hikes and vitamins and therapy and prayer and good friends. And I have more on this in a video that I have called Self Care to Cope with Narcissist video. You can check that out if you'd like. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I know for a lot of you out there, you are dealing with this. And I think it is one of the hardest things to deal with narcissists is realizing that you're not going to have that closure. And I actually, I find that sometimes in negotiations as well, is that you'll get an offer from them, and you want to talk it through with them, and you want to say, hey, how come you sent this over, or how come you're only taking parts of the deal, or you're holding me to the parts that you like and not the other parts, and you get lulled into thinking that you might be able to have a reasonable conversation with them, and you can't. I actually just was talking to one of my one-on-one clients just this past week, and she spent the entire conversation with me telling me how horrible this person was and how destructive she was, and how her 7-year-old daughter was saying how awful this guy was and how toxic, like even her 7-year-old realized how toxic the guy was. And yet there she was, like, still thinking, well, maybe she might be able to get him to see something in a certain way, or maybe she might be able to, get him to come around to a certain way of thinking and have that kind of closure with him. It's just sometimes really, really hard to think that you're not going to ever get that closure, but you just can't, because you just have to realize that they're not healthy people, and that their brains just don't operate the same way your brains do. And so looking at things the way that Katy Perry did, and and I'm not saying that Russell Brand is a narcissist or he's not a narcissist, because I don't know. But I'm saying that in her particular situation, it appears that she wasn't able to get the closure. It appears that she wasn't able to end up going back to having that conversation with him, and she started down a path of complete self-destruction. And who was it hurting? This is a great example of who was it hurting. Was it hurting him? Well, probably not. I mean, he was off doing whatever he was doing while she's laying on the bathroom floor drinking and eating flaming hot Cheetos. And she was the one that had to get herself up off the bathroom floor and start eating healthily and doing the things that she needed to do, right? I'm suggesting this to you because you need to take care of yourself and do the things that you need to do to start healing in the way that will be best for you, such as, maybe starting to do a gratitude journal. And that is one of the best ways that has helped me actually really, really heal, is starting to keep a gratitude journal, starting to write down things that I'm thankful for every single morning. I actually started doing it after I interviewed Bob Proctor earlier this year. He told me to write down 10 things I was grateful for every single morning, and I started doing it every day. And I still do it. And, even if I only have time to just write one word, I still do it, because it just reminds me that there are always things to be grateful for, even if things are chaotic and hectic, and even if it's food, air, you know, whatever it is, a house to live in, a place to sit, family, friends, there are always things that you can be grateful for. So, gratitude is a way that you can immediately center yourself. You can immediately feel a little bit better. So, even though you're not going to get closure, it's definitely a way that you can just start to breathe a little bit. You just start to realize that you just start feeling a little bit better right away. So, for those of you who just need to start to center yourself a little bit and start to feel some gratitude, I just want you to write thank you in the comments below, or just write what you're grateful for in the comments below, something that you're thankful for. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. And if you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, and drop me that comment. And if you feel compelled to subscribe, feel free to do so. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you'd like to grab my Crush My Negotiation worksheet, my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet, you are welcome to do that at winmynegotiation.com. You are also welcome to join me in my free support group, which is the Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. You are welcome to join me in there as well. Love to have you in there. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for joining me.